2010, and Sam Trickett left South Africa for Las Vegas, a reformed character, desperate to prove he was now worth a place among poker's elite.
He said, I'm ready to do this, I'm going to go there and I'm going to do really well. I know I am.
When I was in Cape Town, I felt like I took my game to a new level. You know what I mean? I felt like I was playing a class above everybody else at that stage.
In the 2010 World Series, Sam wasted no time, making it to the final table by the third event of the series.
What's the prize fund?
I don't know. I just know it's 1.3 million for the winner. Don't really want to look at all the other jumps and stuff. Just don't be bothered, I just want to win it.
I was at work, I was working on the power station at the time. I remember I was looking at my phone every 2 minutes, checking the poker, and you seeing how he's getting on, because he was on the final table.
His army of fans celebrated as Sam finished in second place. The expert verdict said he'd taken a big step back up the professional ladder. But that was no consolation to Sam.
There's nothing you can do.
You
has hand after hand.
Fuck me, why couldn't I have had every that's done that? Why did they just...
I'll tell you what you can have. You can have $250,000 tomorrow morning whenever you want to go and collect it. Yeah? That's not so terrible.
It's not terrible at all.
I came second for like 500,000. I felt like I was really unlucky heads up as well. I felt I didn't regret any hands I played. And then I went on to like break a record as well. I had most no limit hold'em cashes in one series than anyone ever. I had 8 cashes in no limit hold'em.
Sam was back, just as hungry, but now more mature.
I just kept winning. I just like kept playing and just kept winning, and I just still felt like that this edge that I'd created in Cape Town, I think like it was still there. I just felt like my edge was there.
And at the 2010 World Open, poker realised Trickett was the real deal.
At that time, he really exploded off the page. Not just in my mind, but in poker's mind.
Sam mixed composure and fearlessness to bluff one of the world's greatest players off his winning hand.
Sam was against Yevgeny Timoshenko, who's basically considered a beast.
The bet is $88,000, so not a small value bet by any means. It's not going to raise it here.
I mean,
the question is you're going to pay off the $88,000.
Yeah. And I remember Mike Sexton sitting in the box next to me, and he said, well, I don't know what Trickett's thinking about. There's no way he'll raise here. That'd just be crazy.
There's no purpose in raising. The guy's stealing or he's not stealing.
I'm all in.
Oh, my gosh. I take it back.
And Timoshenko's calling.
It's unbelievable that he's done this.
Pretty hard to
I don't know that he is.
Sam pushed all his chips in, which was crazy.
It was brilliant poker. Timoshenko bought the bluff, folding a key hand, and Sam would win his first major title.
Folks, you don't see poker played at that level any better. It's incredible what knowledge this Trickett has about poker.
Look at this. Your newest champion for the Party Poker World Open 6. A big round of applause here.
The world of poker had a new star. Confident, good-looking, but with a steel that belied his age. Just 5 years after taking up the sport, Sam Trickett was a natural.
It takes a lot of grasping. It's not an easy concept to grasp that your son, you're bailing him out, and 1 minute later he can buy and sell you, and he can buy a bigger house than you, he can buy the cars, and it seems that he's achieved everything that he set out to do.
Sam's incredible streak continued. At the Aussie Millions poker tournament, he had the sort of week that can define a career.
A nice swing towards Sam Trickett, and this is the tournament.
Over that 5 days, 6 days, I'd won about $3 million. Which is obviously a massive amount of money. This is when I got life-changing money.
He'd rocketed into the world of multi-millionaire sports star.
You could say Sam Trickett lives the life of a Premier League footballer. He earns similar money, probably earns more.
Sam's living a dream. You know, the only thing that's better for Sam, he don't have to train and run around and get a sweat on.
Sam's the kind of people that, you know, the younger generation will aspire to, because you look at Sam Trickett and you think, wow, look at him, he's earned millions and he drives this car and he's got that house. I want to be like Sam Trickett.
If Sam has a new respect for money, he still has a talent for spending it.
It's obviously not sensible or not like financially smart decision, but it's almost like trophies for me. Every time I've done well in tournaments or in pokers, I like to treat myself, and it's almost like a trophy to look back on. I still can't believe it, if you want the truth. The last few years, I've gone from like spiraled from like basically having no money to literally study a shopping, but it's all surreal, really.
Trickett's latest trophy is a Ferrari. Price tag, £275,000.
Roaring, I just just felt like it's like a lion. It was unbelievable. So yeah, it put a smile on my face. Like, I couldn't stop smiling like a little kid just smiling. So yeah, I think that was what did it for me.
As good as sex?
Depends. I'm pretty good at sex, so like probably not. You know, depends. Probably better than your sex, but like yeah, my sex now.
If money is no longer an object, the desire to win burns more brightly than ever. Nothing can replace the thrill of risking and then winning it all. But as Sam discovered, the better you become, the more people take notice.
Once you've made it and you make it big, people will like start mimicking your style. So then that's fine, but if they mimic it so good that they're as good as Sam then, so there might be 20 of them.
The next year in 2011, I went back to the World Series. Still feeling good, feeling fresh and confident, and I didn't do anything. I had no cashes, and a lot of people had tipped me to win a bracelet. What have you?
Right now, do you just kind of think, I'd almost rather play bad and run good than play like you're playing?
I'll take anything right now. I've played good in enough tournaments to like get my fair share of run good. I felt like people had adjusted to my style because they'd been watching me on TV, and I'd had some results on TV, and I felt like it was only till after the World Series I realised that I had to readjust and take my game and keep trying to get to the next level and stay above everyone else.
Whether you're broke or you have money, the swings of poker are massive. And that same mental toughness that allowed Sam to rally from being broke to being a multi-millionaire is the same mental toughness he uses every day at the poker table. He's motivated by winning.
Which is why in the summer of 2012, Sam Trickett returned to Las Vegas, determined to win the richest poker prize ever. He would be leaving nothing to chance.
Got an apartment at the Palms Place myself, kept myself from everybody and just got my head down, and I even did a little bit of research on the players, which I've never done in my life for any tournament.
And going into the event, his sponsors were confident Sam was a gamble worth taking.
Myself personally and another owner of Matchbook, and we've watched him progress from £100 local poker games to the highest stakes games in the world. And with the lineup of recreational players as well as other professional poker players that Sam has a lot of experience playing, we truly knew that it was a good bet to bet on Sam in the one-drop tournament.
I wanted to get a good table draw, which is like basically a table full of amateurs. Just makes decisions a little bit easier. When I looked at the table draw, it wasn't so good. It could have been a lot better.
Trickett had a really interesting table because it was a mix of a lot of the really young guns in poker. It wasn't any of the really big TV names, but among the elite. It was considered one of the tougher tables in the tournament. And, you know, day one is about balancing, building, and surviving. You get knocked out the first day, you probably made a big mistake.
There was one significant pot I played on day one. It was against an amateur player. And I got like the maximum I probably could have got from the hand, which gave me a chip lead and gave me the confidence to start putting pressure on other people.
He gets the aces against someone else's queens and manages to win many more chips than most people would have won with the same hand. Trickett is not a guy who sits there and waits for the big hands. Trickett is in there trying to win every pot any way he knows how.
I think he finished the day on like 6.7 million, sixth out of 37 left. So yeah, it was a really good day for him.
Despite a difficult draw, it was an impressive start. Surviving and then prospering, Sam was among the overall leaders, firmly in contention for the big prize.
I'm doing brilliantly. I've got off to a perfect start. Like I said, my table draw wasn't the best, but everything's going to plan. It's like, I couldn't wish for a better start, really.
And I think in about 2 or 3 hours' time, it's actually your birthday. What's your birthday wish?
It's pretty obvious, isn't it? Right? You don't have to be a poker player to read my mind. But yeah, I want to win the one drop.
26 years young, but there would be no celebrating yet.
It was just good vibes. Obviously on your birthday you're always in a good mood and you're happy and you wake up and there's probably no other place I'd want to be than playing $1 million tournament on your birthday.
If you put yourself in that situation, the TV cameras all over you, all your friends are there, it's your birthday, and you're playing for $18 million first prize. There are very few people who can focus on poker with all that going on.
Once again, the draw had not been kind. The tournament money leader, Antonio Esfandiari, would be sitting on his left.
When someone is sitting on your left, they're always acting after you. And so they always get to see what you do before they decide what they do. It's a huge advantage.
Most of the time, most hands, he's going to be able to make the final decision. The final decision is the most important decision and the easier one to make.
The two guys I was most worried about were Sam Trickett and Brian Rast. But really, the guy I was most worried about was Sam Trickett, so that was not fun.
You know, you have to make a plan about every player at that table. And Being that Antonio was on his left, that's a very, very tough position to play someone from.
I didn't like my seat draw, and I didn't like that he had a lot of chips. I've played with Sam before. I respect his play a ton. I think that he and I were both not looking to really get involved too much with each other.
But these two gifted players would go head-to-head with explosive results.
Most of the time, the goal in tournament poker is to build your stack slowly. And the reason you build your stack slowly is because the only way to build your stack fast is to get a lot of chips in. That's putting your tournament life at risk. Well, day 2 was the big time that Sam had to put his life at stake, and he knew it.
Backed into a corner, Sam is forced to move all his chips in, with the table card still blind. He's gambling everything on this one play.
If Sam loses this pot, he's out of the tournament. If he wins the pot, he's one of the chip leaders and one of the favorites to take the 18 million.
You need to be able to make correct decisions under the hugest amounts of pressure. And that's a very special talent.
It was a very significant pot because I had all my chips in the middle as a 70% favourite, and obviously I could lose this pot and I'm out of the tournament.
So Sam here, the biggest position he's ever been in his life, he's playing a flip that's worth millions of dollars. He's never played a pot this big. That'll make you sweat.
Hannibal.
Yes! I think Sam got a little bit of a birthday gift there. Sam is such a fearless, aggressive player. He puts pressure on his opponents to such an extreme level that it forces them to make mistakes.
It was one of the best hands of Sam's career. Of the 8 players through to the live televised final, he led the way.
It's like by far been my best birthday of my life. Everything went to plan, like never looked back, like got off to an early chip lead in this tournament and it's just like been absolutely perfect all-round day of poker.
He's definitely going to win it. I'd put a bet on it if I was a betting person, but I don't gamble.
18.5 million, can't wait for it. The best party for it, the 3-day party.
Happy birthday is half eaten, so that represents that half the tournament is now surpassed.
It's not only the time at the table that counts. The pressure is so intense that there's a lot of guys who play in tournaments like this. If they're still in, they never sleep. The pressure's too much. They just stare at the ceiling all night, you know, thinking, I can't handle this. I hope I just get some big hands and get lucky, because I might cry.
But there was a birthday to celebrate. For once, however, that was a brief interlude. After an hour of R&R, Sam Trickett was already refocusing, hours ahead of the match of his life. Coming up, can the former plumber complete his incredible journey and win poker's biggest ever prize, a mouth-watering $18 million?
Sam Trickett needs help immediately.
Trickett has to have a diamond.